10 to 1. I think that's way too overpriced.
But I just think Santa Barbara might just go and do it. So,
Hang about. How
here we
many
go.
favourites have you picked today?
Do you think he's the winner? That's the question.
I think Zayadar's got a massive chance. I really do.
He will be Bolshoi Ballet, but I think at the
It's not-
prices...
it's not-
Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for a brand new look to the channel. Finally, Jack and I are off of Skype and Jack is here in the studio with me. Jack, it's great to be here.
It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? And I mean, what a better way to start than the Derby and the Oaks. Let's get into it.
It really is a great weekend of racing. Jack and I are going to be previewing the Friday and Saturday from Epsom Downs, and we are going to do the Oaks and Derby towards the back end of the video. We're going to kick things off with the Friday though in the Group 1 on the card, the Coronation Cup, which is over 1.5 miles. Your betting currently looks like this. Our RC is 4-5, Japan 3-1, Mogul 6-1, Pole Driver is 9-1, Albaflora 10s, Alpinista 28-1, and Highland Chief 50-1. Jack, our RC, a really impressive winner at Newbury last time. Did it on the bridle, beating a Dante winner, a Ledger winner, and also an all-weather finals day winner. The horse has got so much ability.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite simple. If he reproduces that kind of level of form, I think it's just a formality that he wins. Yes, the Dante winner and the Ledger winner in Logician and Thunderous weren't up to their standard. Of course, they were when they won then. But I still think it's a cracking level of form. He's made them look like Class 5 handicappers. Let's not forget, he's done it pretty much at a canter. I mean, I think he was given a Racing Post rating of 124, 125 for that, and I think he's really stamped his authority in the middle of distance division. I can't really see any of the brotherly love of Japan or Mogul getting involved. I think Japan may want further. I mean, it was great to see him back in the Epsom Stakes as it was. And, of course, Mogul, he's being a little bit rusty. Of course he is. He needs to blow off those cobwebs. The run in the over in Longshot wasn't that bad in the Prix-Gannet. But, I mean, he needs to bounce back. But for me, it's all about El-Azi.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Arce is going to be a really easy sort of selection for Jack and I here. I think Japan did look very good at Chester. I think he's definitely the worry to Arce. I think Mogul's just an inconsistent horse, Jack. We found that last season. I don't know about you. It's hard to get him right.
Do you think he's inconsistent, or do you think he just needs to blow off those cobwebs? I mean, we saw him in his reappearance at Ascot last year. Is it just a hard one to pick, or does he just need a few runs to get going?
He's just the kind of horse that it wouldn't surprise me if he ran well and beat Arce here, but I wouldn't call him a world beater, Mogul. He's just a very difficult horse to get right. But I think to kick things off, a nice quick preview, but for myself and Jack in the Coronation Cup, it's going to be our Arce. Right, moving on to the Diomed Stakes, a Group 3 over the extended mile. Century Dream is your 5-2 favourite here. Maximal is 4-1. Prince AG is 9-2. Bell Rock 11-2. Duke of Hazard is 6-1. Marie's Diamond 6. Escobar 8. Oh, This Is Us 9s and 33 to 1 and bigger the rest. Jack, Century Dream was 9th in the Lockinge last time out, but is a Group 2 winner, won over Goodwood and Celebration Mile last season. Do you think he's a favourite worth taking on in this?
Yeah, I do. I think it's quite a messy race, but I'm a bit of a fan of Maximal. I mean, we've talked about him when we were on Skype quite a bit. I think his form the whole way through is absolutely rock solid. I mean, on debut, he beat Legend of Dubai, who then finished second to Lone Eagle next time out by about a length and a half. And of course, Lone Eagle we'll get onto later, but a Group 3 winner after that. He was then second to One Ruler, and of course, One Ruler is in the Derby. We have a big chance there, but he didn't like the soft ground in the Autumn Stakes when he reopposed One Ruler. But then, of course, we've got good ground this weekend, or good to firm perhaps. I mean,
yeah, potentially.
Be interesting to see there. And then he was second to Hurricane Lane and second in the D Stakes. I think stepping back in trip here is going to be perfect. I mean, the second to Hurricane Lane, I thought was an exceptional performance. They finished at about 115% finishing speed, and he still managed to do it there. I think he's 4-1, 9-2, as you say, and I think that's a good enough price.
100%. I think he could enhance the Derby form for Hurricane Lane, and we'll get on to that. I really like Maximal. Jack said it all there. I think the second to Hurricane Lane is some of the best form in the race. I just think that Century Dream, he's the kind of horse that probably come back, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him win the Celebration Mile at Goodwood. Probably a long-term target for him to go and win that again.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I just do. I think that's the kind of place that he'll end up. Potentially go and win that. And Prince AG I just find far too short, around 9-2. I don't really find the form second behind Oh This Is Us to be that great. I don't know about yourself.
No, I love Oh This Is Us, don't get me wrong, but he's one who I can never get right, and I don't really think when you have something going at 66-1 it usually upholds the level of form. I mean, I think it's more of a shock in the race that, as I say, I don't think he's weighted to win, and I don't think he will.
No, I really don't. I don't think he's the horse. So for myself and Jack, another joint selection in Maximal. It's a good way to start the pre. Oh no, yeah, two selections, both joint in that. But I'm sure things are about to change as we move on to the handicap on the Saturday. It's the World Pool Dash, or normally known as the Epsom Dash handicap. A 5 furlong handicap is an absolute hella sprint. This, Jack. Stone of Destiny is the 7-1 favourite. Copper Knight 8-1. Only Spoofing the Irish Raider is 8-1. Desert Safari is 9s. Recon Mission and Rayoat is 10-1. Blue de Vega, Caspian Prince, Ornate are 12s and 14-1, and Bigger the rest. I know Jack's a big Ornate fan. I think we all are. The horse that needs to go about 3 furlongs to win. But for myself, Jack, I'm actually going to be siding with the Irish Raider here, Only Spoofing. I thought, for myself, for the Kevin Coleman team, I thought he ran a really nice race at Navan last time out. 3 lengths he won by that day. Ran on really well, and I think a fast pace, it's guaranteed to be a fast pace in this dash. There's plenty of runners to make the running, and I think they're going to go off at a hella speed. So for myself, it's going to be the Irish Raider, and that's Only Spoofing with Tom Marquand booked on board. What about for yourself?
I mean, it's not really a betting proposition, I don't think. I mean, Only Spoofing, it was a good win. I'm not sure how good the form is personally, but I can't leave my boy Ornate, can I? I mean, he is the definition of a dash. I mean, we see it in the King George every year. We see it wherever he goes. He does like to go off at a dash, and he will do yet again. He matches most of the stats, you know. And I'm a stats man. I love
a stat.
Between 5 and 8 years old, the only one he doesn't is most of the previous winners have carried less than 9 stone 1. He's got 9 stone 6 on his back. But I think he's a seasoned veteran, isn't he? He's been dropped a pound for last time out. He hasn't been running that great on the all-weather, but he's guaranteed to run his race yet again. He could, especially as I'd probably be playing 4, 5, 6 places or such. He's an absolute warrior. I'd love to own him, and it would be great to see him run well.
Yeah, it really would, but he's a 3 furlong specialist. I mean, the horse that does actually, I've noted down here as well, is Sunday Sovereign for the King Power team. I think he's a real danger at 10-1. He was a great run behind Pendleton at York last time. Pendleton's actually been installed as the Woking favourite at Royal Ascot. He's the choice of D'Souza with Murphy on the favourite Stone of Destiny, but I think he's going to be bang there at the finish. I think that second last time out was really good, and again, another horse where the fast pace will suit. So it's going to be Ornate for Jack, and Only Spoofing will be the main selection for myself in the Epsom Dash. Right, we move on to the big ones now, the Oaks and the Derby, and we'll start off on the Friday with the Epsom Oaks, a Group 1 classic over 1.5 miles. Santa Barbara is your 5-2 favourite. Snowfall 4-1, the 2 Aidan O'Brien hot pots at the top of the market. Tiona is 5-1, Zayadir is 6-1, Divinely is 10-1, Saffron Beach is 10s, Dubai Fountain 12s and 25-1, and Bigger the rest. Jack, there's only one place to start, and we did this for the Guineas when we were on Skype, and that's Santa Barbara, who is another short price favourite here for a classic, only after 2 runs this time, a maiden win and then 4th in the 1,000 Guineas. Now, listening to Jason Weaver's comments on ITV, who did he like for the Oaks? He said Santa Barbara. He said the horse was very fat, a bit like myself at the moment. But in terms of Santa Barbara, do we think that run there is good enough to win the Oaks?
It's good enough to win the Oaks, but it's not good enough to warrant 5-2. And that's the thing which is getting to me, is we've heard Aidan O'Brien hot pots be backed in. Like so much has been spoken about, especially Santa Barbara, and she failed. Let's not forget that she was touted to win the 1,000 Guineas, and she lost, and suddenly it was a success story. Everything went right, blah blah blah. Like I don't quite understand how everyone's turned it into such a success. I mean, yes, she was green. Yes, she's done very well to finish 4th. I think the form of that's a great race. Yeah. I mean, you've got Primo Bacio, who was beaten by the likes of Alcohol Free and Vadream coming on from that and going out off to Ascot. But I don't know. I mean, she's got a lot of entries. She's got the Ribblesdale, the Pretty Polly, the Eclipse, and even the Sussex Stakes. And for me, I just don't know if she's actually going to get the 1.5 miles.
Okay.
I mean, I think 1.25 miles is going to be where her best trip is. I mean, she strides like a 1.25 miles horse, and I don't know if 1.5 miles will exactly be the best. I mean, Snowfall, I mean, unfortunately, I think it's quite easy to pick holes in the form of the Musadora. They went at a cruel early. She dictated and then just had it all her own way after that. I mean, she finished at 110% finishing speed, and it was 6 lengths quicker than the Dante in the last 2 furlongs, which is impressive enough. But I mean, as a whole, it was 5 seconds slower. So, I mean, you look at that, and that's about 25 lengths slower. And, I mean, they had to cover another 32 yards. But I don't know. I think 9-2, I was surprised to see her go to that short. Tiona, I mean, everything went wrong, didn't it? I mean, what are your opinions on Tiona?
Oh, well, I mean, you discussed the form that Moose Door. I do think that Snowfall had it her own way that day. Obviously, we saw Noon Star as well, who's not unfortunately going to be in here. It's a shame, pulled out middle of the week by Sir Mark Stout, but she's going to be the 2021 Ribblesdale winner anyway, so that doesn't matter. But no, do you know what? We discussed this when we did our sort of anti-post preview of these two races. And we said sort of Tiona and Noon Star were the two to take out the race. Snowfall might be a bit of a risk in terms of the fact that she might have had it her own way and might have got a bit lucky, and Tiona may come on for that run. That was the first run on the turf from what I know, and I think the horse may come on from that. So personally, I really want to try and find something at a bigger price, but I just think Santa Barbara might just go and do it.
I mean, I can't agree. I really can't. I mean, she may do it. It may be the weekend for favourites. Of course, we'll talk about the Derby in a second. But it's 5-2, Sam. And 5-2 to me, it just doesn't scream value at all. I mean, yes, she was green. Yes, she ran well into fourth. That's over a mile. I mean, it's a completely different kettle of fish. I mean, she didn't settle that great. Of course, the first half a mile is an absolute test. You need to be able to switch off. She didn't show that she was able to switch off. Of course, she was very inexperienced. It was only her second run, so she'll come on a lot for that. But for me, I think the Cheshire Oaks is a great place to look. I mean, you've got Dubai Fountain. For me, Dubai Fountain, if she was to go and win, I'd kick myself because she was fourth in the Fillies Mile. The form of the Fillies Mile was just sensational. And then from there, she ran well. I mean, the Racing Post, we said it, they put comfortably at the end of the win in the Cheshire Oaks. I'm not too sure about that, but I think she just had the run of the race. She had first go of it. We know how hard it is to come from the rear of the field. And I think Zayadar's got a massive chance. I really do. I mean, she's unfortunately given stall 1, and that is an absolute killer for me because 16 of the last 19 winners from stall 1 haven't placed. And I mean, it just annoys me because I thought she didn't get the easiest time of it. She was drawn widest of all at Chester, had to come from the rear of the field. But what I was really impressed with was about 2.5 furlongs out, Jim Crowley went and bumped her along for one stride and got straight back on the bridle. Yeah. She was a little bit short for room, but she was travelling the best of them all. And considering she had to come from the rear of the field, she was hitting the line really nicely. I mean, now you're going to say about her pedigree, because she doesn't look like she's going to stay a mile and a half, but she does stride like a mile and a half horse, like a middle distance horse. Agree. So for me, it's a little bit of a conundrum, but Zayadar, if she wasn't stall 1, I'd be very confident with her, but for me, I do think Zayadar's got a great chance. Okay, so Zayadar could be the selection for yourself. I think one horse that would be interesting, Jane Chapel-Hyam, I love listening to her interview. She was saying after the work at Epsom that a lot of people in the weighing room and going back into the jockey's room would be on the Adam Kirby double for the Oaks and Derby. Now, what do we make of Saffron Beach? An excellent run in the Guineas. I'm just not 100% sure whether this horse is bred to stay. The one thing that we are guaranteed with this horse is this horse seems to try its hardest and gives its all, and you never know what you're going to get. But Kirby's got 2 interesting mounts this week in the Oaks and Derby, so could that potentially be one of the shocks in the race? I don't think so personally. I mean, I do love Saffron Beach. I think she's a great filly, but for me, she's not going to stay. If she stays and she wins, I'd happily say I was wrong. But for me, she didn't show enough. I mean, she was staying on well in the Guineas, don't get me wrong. She doesn't really stride like a mile and a half horse, like a middle distance horse. So it'd be interesting to see. I think a mile's to the maximum of her capabilities, let alone a mile and a quarter, if I'm being honest. So I don't think she'll stay, especially around Epsom, but who knows, eh? Okay, and there are any of the outsiders a lot? I mean, we discussed up to Dubai Fountain, they're 25-1 and bigger the rest. Are there any in there? I know Murphy's been going on about Ocean Road, who he said looks like a horse that have come on from Lingfield. I mean, is there any in there that you'd be interested in sort of seeing running? I think, is it Savour Forest?
Yeah.
Savour Forest, I think it's got a good chance. I mean, she definitely strides like a mile and a half horse. I know I'm banging on about the stride length, but I really do like to look, especially with the 3-year-olds.
Especially at Epsom as well.
Exactly, where you can see them going. And she switched off really nicely early doors, and she wasn't really eating up too much ground towards the end. She strides really nicely. She's quite big, actually, in fact. And I think she's 40-1 now. And I think that's quite a big prize. She was staying on, and it'd be great to see Callum Shepherd, who actually went to my old school.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that. Yeah, didn't know.
So that'd be nice. He was a couple of years older than me, mind you. But yeah, he went to my old school. It'd be nice to see him do the business. I think she can run a big race, and that's the one I'd take out of that. Okay, so Zayadar being main win selection and Savour Forest potentially at a price bid each way. For me, it's boring as anything, but I'm going to say Santa Barbara is going to win the Oaks, but a price, 10-1, I'd be saying Saffron Beach might be the one to shock them all each way. You take that 5-2 winner and you'd be so happy about it, mate, honestly.
I'll tell you what, you could treble up on the Oaks Derby and Coronation Cup favourites, you really could, but it's boring. But we'll move on to the big one on the Saturday, which is the Epsom Derby. I've been looking forward to this all season. The Group 1 Classic, again, over a mile and a half. for the Colts. And Bolshoi Ballet is now your 11-8 favourite. I think he's shorter in some places now after the news, and we'll discuss that in a second. But Max Sweeney is your second favourite, 6-1. Mohafef is 7-1. High Definition is unlikely to run, 8-1. Hurricane Lane is 9-1. John Leaper 9s. Third Realm 12s, and 20-1 bar these. Now, no draws for the Derby as of yet. Unfortunately, we're filming this the day before the draws come out. Now, we'll start off with, before we get on to the fate, we'll start off with Aidan O'Brien, the news that has come today as we're filming this, that it seems like Bolshoi Ballet is going to be the sole runner in the Derby for O'Brien. It's not confirmed yet, but that's what it kind of sounded like he said at the Curragh today. Now, usually we see Aidan O'Brien with the pacemakers and usually helps his runners. This year he's going to be all on his own with Bolshoi Ballet. Do you think it's a sensible decision? Does it make the race a bit messy? Do you think a lot of the other trainers would have been planning on one of the Aidan O'Brien runners to go off 5 lengths clear and potentially help their runner out? What do you reckon?
I think I'd be very surprised if he is the sole runner. I still think they'll throw in a Sir Lamorak or a Mediterranean Sea or something, or perhaps even Southern Lights for Joseph O'Brien will do him a favour out front. Who knows? But I think it's a mad one for me, especially unless he thinks they're all top class prospects and they're all going to win Group 1s and group races elsewhere. But even so, I think I would have liked to see High Definition there. Yeah. Obviously, he wasn't completely right in the Dante because he said he needs another couple of weeks to actually recover from that. So he obviously wasn't right there. But I mean, now it's all about Bolshoi Ballet, isn't it?
It really is. I think Max Sweeney, obviously an Irish Guineas winner and a Vertum Futurity winner as a 2-year-old. I think the horse potentially softer ground. Would you say?
Yeah, needs softer ground. Again, not sure if he's going to stay the trip. Of course, it was a great win in the Irish 2000. I mean, that's probably the pick of the form of the race, I'd say. But again, you don't know if he's gonna stay. The thing with Bolshoi Ballet that I really liked is he switched off early doors in the Derrinstown. After the Ballysacks, I was a bit sceptical that he'd been cut so much in the market. But I think the Derrinstown was a top class piece of form that showed. I mean, he travelled and then kicked in terrific style, didn't he? I mean, he showed the turn of foot of a miler, I thought, rather than
I could agree with you there.
Horse. And I mean, the time as well. He was 4 seconds quicker than the handicap on the day. It was absolutely rock solid, and you see why he's up at the top of the market.
Yeah, I think visually it's visually the best Derby trial by a long way. I think some of the Derby trials have actually been really disappointing. Now, in terms of another Derby trial, the Dante Hurricane Lane. Now, the unbeaten horse in here. Now, fair price for an unbeaten horse in a Derby, 9-1. Now, the horse, I mean, I don't know whether the form 100% holds up for that day. Megallan was second. High Definition was obviously staying on third. The horse has beaten High Definition, but I don't think a fully fit High Definition. I think High Definition is going to look a lot better if going for the Irish Derby next. But what do we make of Hurricane Lane's chances?
I actually think he's got a massive chance. Let's not forget he's unbeaten. He's done everything right that's been put in front of him, especially if Maximal goes and wins like that day as well. I think he's got a huge chance. I mean, I was a bit sceptical about the fast pace of all the Aidan O'Brien runners, but now of course we don't have that guaranteed fast pace, and he's finished his last 2 races at 115% finishing speed and 105% finishing speed. I mean, the time of the Dante, it was 0.13 seconds slower than the Middleton and Queen Power, but of course Queen Power is 2 years older, has a lot more experience, and she's ran to the mid 110s there. I think she got a rating of 115 for that. So it was clearly a very good run from him. And if we don't get this rapid pace out front, I really do think he has a decent chance. He's 10-1. I think that's way too overpriced.
It is way too overpriced. I completely agree, especially with the likes of High Definition coming out of the race. I think there are 2 unknowns in here. We've got Mohafef and John Leaper are the 2 that, towards the top of the market are the unknowns in the race. We start off with Mohafef, who's coming in off the back of that run at Newmarket looking very impressive, actually beating Harry Redknapp's horse, who we were discussing with at the Goodwood, the first race meeting we ended up on track with. But the horse did look very impressed that day, sure to stay this trip looking at the horse. But do we think that potentially he's a massive risk in this race?
Yeah, he's just a huge bombshell, isn't he? I think the mile and a quarter at Newmarket is very, very different to the mile and a half at Epsom. Like, it couldn't be any more different, if you ask me. And he is just the biggest bombshell. You just don't know what he's going to bring, do you? And I mean, he could canter home like he did. Of course, he won't, I don't think, but like he did that day. I mean, from a time perspective, I think it was about 3 lengths quicker than Mystery Angel on the day. And of course, he did it at canter. So we literally don't know what's under the bonnet there. It's just mad because as a juvenile, he didn't really show that much. And this year, he's suddenly come on leaps and bounds. But I mean, I think he's a bit short, personally.
Yeah, and in terms of the other horse in here, Third Realm, the Lingfield Derby trial winner, in terms of Azzini's comments, said that this horse is a major threat to the favourite. I personally don't see it. I really didn't like the Lingfield trials this year.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I didn't really like many of the trials, except I do think we could actually be missing. We may have seen Derby place and Lone Eagle. I mean, he finished at 107% finishing speed at Goodwood. Of course, Goodwood's a very different track to Epsom, but it has its own unique quirks, as Epsom does, the undulations and whatnot, the downhill. But don't get me wrong, I mean, he wants the soft ground. He does want it a bit softer, but he won on good ground last year. I know Martin Mead said he doesn't need soft ground, but of course he would say that. He's his own trainer. But for me, he stayed the mile and 3. He'll stay further. He was stretching away at the end there. I don't think that the form's anything that special, but I really like the way he stuck his neck out late on, and he finished at 107% finishing speed, which shows that he was getting quicker at the line. He hit the line quite strong. I think the mile and a half, he just switches off really nicely. I've been talking about switching off early, and I really like looking for that with a Derby horse. He switched off really nice early doors. He won't be happy. He won't mind being held up a little bit as well. So if it does turn into a stamina test, I think Lone Eagle at 40-1, 50-1 is a decent price. And on the other end of the spectrum, if they go at a cruel, I think Hurricane Lane's a decent price at 10s.
Yeah, 100%. And I just completely agree. You can't have a horse that's too keen in a Derby. No. It just really doesn't work out with that track.
Would that put you off John Leaper then?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, obviously he'd probably want the faster pace. John Leaper, he'd be wanting one of those Aidan O'Brien pacemakers to go off and make it his own. But yeah, for me it's going to be Bolshoi Ballet. I think for Jack it will be Bolshoi Ballet. But I think at the prices, you can't. You're saying that you can't get away from Bolshoi Ballet's fate. You're not going to select him. You're not selecting him, but you are going to say to me that Bolshoi Ballet won't be winning the Derby. Are you going to say that now?
He's the most likely winner, but he's not my selection.
No, he's not your selection. No. But do you think that he is the winner? He's not a selection because of the price, but do you think he's the winner? That's the question.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I think Hurricane Lane's going to win it. Bolshoi Ballet's going to be second and Lone Eagle third.
Wow, okay. There's the free for Jack. I mean, Bolshoi Ballet for me is so boring. I hate doing it, but Bolshoi Ballet will be winning the Derby, and the horse that I think might be placing in the race will be Hurricane Lane. It'll be the first and second.
Hang about. How many favourites have you picked today? The first. So this is, ladies and gents, this is the first podcast we're doing.
Four or five.
Four or five favourites.
I'll tell you what, 4 or 5, and I think they could come in. I genuinely think that a lot of people this weekend might be on the Oaks favourite Santa Barbara, the Derby favourite Bolshoi Ballet, and Al Arcia. I think that will be a popular treble.
Because they're the favourites.
They will be, but yeah, they will be. But it's going to be a popular treble. That's what I'm saying. That is going to be. I think a lot of people are going to be on that muggy treble this weekend. I'm not currently on that muggy treble, but I can see a lot of people being on that. I think Bolshoi Ballet is a solid favourite at the top of that market.
It's called a muggy treble for a reason, and that'll be showed up when Bolshoi Ballet does.
Well, we'll have to see. So that is our selection. Jack is going to be selecting up Hurricane Lane and Lone Eagle are going to be your selections, and I'm going to be with Bolshoi Ballet and Hurricane Lane in the Epsom Derby. And that's it. That's it, the end of our first preview in the studio. It's really great to be here and great to have a new look to the channel. We're going to have plenty of videos coming your way. Obviously, we're not far away from Royal Ascot now, where we are going to do a giveaway. We did promise a giveaway at 500 subscribers on the channel. We will do one during our Royal Ascot previews. A good time to do it, and we'll think of something really good for you guys to get involved with. Hope you're enjoying the channel. Do comment down below what you think of it. Do subscribe as well if you haven't already to the channel. We've got plenty of excellent stuff coming your way, and more vlogs as well. If you did enjoy the vlog at Goodwood, and also Jack's video at David Manuzio's yard, that's a really excellent video. But do let us know what you want to see more of on this channel and we'll make it happen. But thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.